feel like I'm just chatting. If you've not seen Supacell, get on that, like right now. In Supacell, created by Rapman, 5 everyday people in London suddenly develop superpowers. Sabrina, Michael, Taser, Andre, and Rodney are all trying to adapt to their lives with this new development until Michael is sent on a quest to unite all 5 of them in order to stop something really dangerous from happening. There will be minor spoilers in this video. Seriously, this show seems to have stolen everyone's hearts. At the time of recording this, it is sitting at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's not hard to see why everybody likes it. Supacell is a take on the superhero genre, which we have seen in the last decade is massively popular, but also is something we haven't seen within the genre, which gives new life to it at a time when everyone is feeling superhero fatigue. The show has mostly all black characters. Certainly the main characters are all black, and they're black British, which then also brings very strong African and Caribbean influences because of their generational proximity to the countries their ancestors come from. So typically you'd see that many people are first, second, or third generation British, and so they still have stronger ties to the African and Caribbean countries that they come from. But Supacell also takes sickle cell, which is a disease that mostly affects black people, and then it spins it into something that is so powerful and so beautiful. And the cast is amazing. The writing is amazing. It looks amazing. So you can see why people really like the show. And if you're like me and you watched all the DC TV shows and the Marvel movies, and this show is for you. So like I said, Sabrina, Michael, Andre, Taser, and Rodney are just living their everyday lives. And then all of a sudden, they find out that they have superpowers. And I saw this tweet that was like, it's so real that these people get powers and then they just keep living their normal lives, but like enhanced. Like, you know how in superhero movies and TV shows, there's always the with great power comes great responsibility moment, or the I was chosen for a reason and they start fighting crime. This show doesn't have that. These people are just like, oh, I'm super fast now. Cool. How does that help my business? And I feel like that's literally how most people would react. So in this case, Supacell keeps the scope small. Like, they're not really fighting crime. They're just living their everyday lives. Some people are trying to get married. People are trying to get promotions, trying to make money, until Michael. Poor Michael, I feel like he could have just been living his life, preparing for his wedding, chilling in his nice apartment with his fiancée. Shout out to Dion. And by the way, every time I was watching this show, honestly speaking, like, I could not, every time we cut to the apartment, I was just like, how much are they paying for this place? Like, this is how you know you're getting old. I could not stop thinking about that. Every time we cut there, inside, outside, I was like, this is a nice apartment. Michael could have been chilling. He could have been preparing for his wedding, having a nice old time, but he had to be the one to go to the future and see all the bad stuff that was coming and see them fighting the bad guys and then go and have to find everybody so they could stop the evil from happening. And I feel like even though he did like to go to the future, see all the stuff going on, see that he had to like fight these people, I don't think Michael would have had the incentive to go and look for the other 4 if something that he really cared about wasn't threatened. Something really close to him was at a risk of being taken away from him. And so now he had a proximity to the problem, and that drove him to action. Sometimes in these superhero shows and movies, the heroes always seem to have like hearts of gold, right? I spoke about Barry Allen in my last video and how he's like this super sacrificial guy, always wanting to risk his life for people, even strangers, and even in real life, there are people who are activists and philanthropists and who are really giving their all to these causes, putting their whole life into these things that they care about, where a lot of us might not even really think about them or think about them in the same way anyway as these people. And that's why you always hear people say like, oh, imagine if, this is your family member going through this, or your loved one going through this, or if it was you going through this, how would you react? What would your response be when they're trying to get us to care about something, or give to something or be involved in something? That's kind of what you hear people say. And it's because having that proximity really does motivate you to action. And I don't think that you have to be close to something in order to care about it or to be empathetic towards it. I think there's basic human decency that we should all have But I think that closeness does help. And even you putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, that's you giving yourself a semblance of that proximity. You're trying to get yourself as close to the situation as possible without you actually being close to it, which will build that empathy and build that connection to the thing or to the person. It's easy for us as people sometimes to just talk about things and talk recklessly, honestly, without us even being close to it or really knowing what's going on. And have you ever been or had a situation where like you tell yourself, oh, that would never happen to me. I would never do this. I would never tolerate that. Or if I was them, this would not be happening. And then you find yourself in a place where that is exactly what's happening. You are tolerating what you said you're not tolerating. You're doing all the things you said you will not do. And then it humbles you. And I know I've been in those places. And even moving away from that, in bigger issues. Like I remember in 2020 when we were all locked in our houses, and this was also during the Black Lives Matter protests. I would see on social media people just saying things that were mean and generally dismissive of situations where people had lost their lives and sometimes of the people themselves. And I can guarantee you that if these people were a part of the grieving family or even just knew the grieving family personally, they would not be saying the things that they were saying. So in that case, that closeness, connection, proximity is something that even just allows you, to be able to speak to a situation. And I think that that kind of closeness and proximity is something that is needed, especially if we want to help. I think if you want to help a situation or a cause or a person, there needs to be some form of closeness or connection to it. It's so easy for us to go into situations where we want to help and we're very well-meaning, but then we go in and we're just off or we're just wrong because we don't actually understand what the situation requires of us or what the people require of us. And in order to know those things, you need to listen and learn. And in order to do that, you need to be close to them in some way. I don't mean close to them, like emotionally close to them, although that's good too. But I mean just like taking the time, taking the effort to listen and learn. You need to have some form of connection to do that. And if we want to be good allies, I think that's something that we have to take the time to do. And honestly, I feel like if you're not close to a situation, you don't know about a situation, you don't know the facts of what's going on, you should not be speaking to it or about it authoritatively. On the other hand, coming away from big causes, sometimes it's overwhelming thinking of the world and all the things that, that the world needs to fix, all the ways we need to fix it, whether we can fix it or not. And we might feel like we're not in the right headspace to think about all that. We don't even have the capacity to even try and start fixing it. And I don't think any person really has the capacity to fix all the world's problems. That's not one person's job. Sometimes all you're able to care about is what's around you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, your communities. And sometimes, honestly, I think that's all we need to care about. I always say this, that if every person takes care of their little pockets on the earth, then the whole earth would be fine because every pocket will be taken care of. So sometimes that's literally all we need to do is like what's around us, taking care of what's around us and with what we have. These characters in Supacell, that's what they're doing, taking care of the people that they love. It's literally the tagline of the show, protect the one you love. The reason why they all eventually find each other is because somebody or something that they care about has gotten involved with this thing going on, and they are now moved to try and figure out what the problem is. And I think that as real life people, there are people in our lives that we consider heroes that aren't superheroes or might not be activists or philanthropists, but it's just because of, the care that they have for the people around them, the care that they may have shown you as you crossed paths with them. Sometimes protecting the one you love is all being a hero is. So yeah, that was Supacell. Please let me know if you've seen the show. If you haven't, honestly, go check it out. I think it's really funny. I think it's really good. I think you might learn some things. And it's going to be a shame if Netflix lets this one go. You need to work in a season 2 Netflix, please, and thank you. Let me know what you think of the show in the comments, things that you found interesting about it, things that you'd like to see going forward. I'm really interested to see how they get to what we saw the future look like. I think that's going to be so fun. And obviously, talking about the show being small right now, it is going to get bigger. There's already stuff going on within it that's showing that it's much bigger than these characters. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play into that. So Netflix, yeah, you can't let this go. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video.